Vancouver is about to become a twin. In the last few years, especially during the Great Recession that shuttered thousands of businesses and put throngs of Canadians out of work, the Toronto skyline is being deformed by giants of glass and steel. These are meant to be the palaces of none but the affluent few who will literally, from upon high, be able to look upon the unwashed masses from down below, watching us like raptors as mere prey. The architecture of Paris, Rome, London, and New York have been revered for their splendor and served as quiet witnesses of elaborate and colorful history through the ages. Yet in Canada, especially in Toronto, architectural beauty has been condemned, damned with hostility, and cast to the wrecking ball by the parasitic elites in the local government and of big business to relieve their impulse to be new for greed's sake, under the veil of it being for the sake of newness. The developers in Toronto despise any form of creative expression, which helped give rise to ugly buildings from the 1950s to the 1970s across town through brutalist or internationalist architecture that rendered the city unbearable to look at, replacing factories and cultural centres with office buildings and condos. The towers before you here have placed a great dark shadow over neighbourhoods that once flourished and over lives once prosperous, both that now lie in ruin. Yet the point here is not about just preserving neighbourhoods of yore or of architectural beauty, but in how the construction of these towers contribute nothing to the simplest way of eliminating poverty: employment. Many living on the streets and on welfare yearn for a decent job with a decent wage and good hours, to raise them up from the lower depths and out from the Hadean madness of their condition, to mend their lives and feed their families, and live a decent living whilst having a say in the local economy by voting with their wallets. The manufacturing of local and national goods has been destroyed by the dark forces of outsourcing, deindustrialization, deregulation, the slashing of taxes on the wealthy and corporations, and overwhelming degenerate influence of foreign monopolies through years of economic erosion that began in the 1980s, made worse within the early 1990s after the passage of the North American Free Trade Agreement. As an aftertaste from the decade of greed prior, factories and warehouses that were once the backbone of a community that now lie in ruin when manufacturing and industry dried up, have been rendered vacant or razed to the ground, only to be replaced with the shadows of monuments to greed, now being erected in the face of austerity. Local developers and politicians aren't trying to create jobs, if not ones that would last for decades, lifetimes, or generations. They're ravaging the skyline and waterfront, instead of building factories for Canadians to work and manufacture Canadian goods. The local government is not occupied by ordinary people, but by moneyed aristocrats, corporatists, and fascists hell-bent on raping the city, on punishing the poor, and aiming to make sure nothing is left for the unwashed masses worthy only of slavery to the affluent. We must stand against the moneyed elites that stand over us and take back our cities and our countryside, every farm and every factory, to build and preserve a stable and self-reliant country, one that isn't some international doormat that lays at the feet of other foreign powers to freely exploit. We can't bring jobs home and keep them safe from other countries that have laws that allow businesses to exploit their workers liberally and with impunity, as long as we keep building condos. Too many condos.